If this one thing happens, we could be in a world of hurt. And this, I'm not going to say makes me overly worried, but I do wonder about this. I'm going to share with you something here. So check this out. We're going to go over to, hold on a second. Here's the total net worth of families, all families. The median is a median in 2022 dollars, so adjusted for inflation, from basically 2023, the end of 2022 till 1989 till the end of 2022. And basically it's grown by about 1.5%. Went from 108, there we go, 108 to 192 over 35 years, basically. It's grown by 1.6%. Now, net worth, all net worth is you take your total assets minus your debt, and that's your net worth. So net worth has grown by 1.6% a year over the last 35 years. But watch what happened. Your debt has grown by a lot more than that. It's grown by about 2, I think I had 2.5, almost 100 basis points more. Now, over 1 year, it's no big deal, but over 35 years, that's a big deal. All right, so now we're starting to see something. Let's start maybe a little bit. Okay, so check this out. Here's our going from 2004 to 2022. Our debt as a whole grew from 8 trillion to 18 trillion, basically. All right, so 8 trillion to 18 trillion, and you can see right here. I think I got credit card debt has grown almost 7.2% a year over the last 20 years. 7.2% a year. Our incomes haven't kept up with that. So then I look at this, so I say, well, our debt to income, this is our household debt service payments as a percentage of disposable personal income. It's way low. Even after here with the interest rates went high, it's still way low. I mean, it's below what anything has been since right here, 1998, at 11%. It's only 10% above, well, not even 10%. It's 50 basis points above 1980. So you can see our debt service looks pretty good. That's a good thing for sure. But what's debt service? That's just your income that you have to service your debt. What happens if income falls, i.e., wages stop? But it's not just wages. But not just stop, but what happens if we have a restructuring of the economy? Layoffs, wages, unemployment, but asset reduction too, i.e., your stock market falls. What happens if the markets fall 25, 30%, which is not unheard of, man. So if we go back here to debt service income, if the markets fall 20, because remember, retirees, they're not working, man. They're staying at home. So if you go over here to debt and we look at age of reference person, you can see right here, here's old people. This is right here, 75 and older, right there. They had 6.8. The median was $6.8 thousand of debt in 1989 and 2022 dollars, and now it's 36. It's gone up by 6 times. 6 times has their debt gone up from 1989 to today. And then if we look at net worth of that same group of people, right here, the net worth for that group of people was at 167, and now it's at 334. So net worth is basically only doubled. Just to give an example. So where is their income coming from, that group of people, in which to pay off that debt? Well, it's coming from their assets. Well, I mean, because they're not working. They're not. Most of those people are not working, so it's got to come from their assets. Assets kept going up, 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 up. What happens if assets take a hit? If assets take a hit, what does that do to your ability to service your debt? So we have an example here. Going back to my man Richard Kuh's book right here, The Holy Grail of Macroeconomics, and this is what makes me a little bit cautious. When a nationwide plunge in asset prices eviscerates asset values, leaving only the debt behind, the private sector begins to pay down debt en masse. All right. So basically, you'll see it's like a perpetual motion machine here. You're saying, oh, I'm losing my asset. I'm losing my asset values. My debt's still there. I'm going to start selling my asset values, creating more supply shocks, essentially. And as such, what that does, when you have too much supply and enough demand, it makes the prices go down. I'm going to start paying off debt. So we see right here from Richard Kuh, he also says, right here he goes, even when interest rates were 0 in Japan, there were no willing borrowers. Even with interest rates at 0, this should not be surprising, because a company suffering from a debt overhang, or a household, will not ask to borrow more just because loans have grown cheaper. Instead, companies will pay down debt. That's exactly what happened in Japan. And then when no one is borrowing money, and all firms, households, are striving to reduce debt despite zero interest rates, the fundamental economic mechanism responsible for channeling household savings into corporate investments ceases to function. This is exactly what happened 70 years ago in the U.S. during the Great Depression, and the GNP plunged 46% in just 4 years. So basically, it doesn't matter what the interest rates are. When people are scared crapless of their debts, they're going to start freaking throwing all their money at it. Bad money after good, bad money after good. And I say bad money because what happens is you have this huge increase in the supply of people trying to sell assets and a smaller increase in demand, or even a massive decrease in demand because people, I don't want to buy your assets. I'm trying to get out of debt myself, which is exactly what happened in the Great Recession and the Great Depression, and what happened in Japan too. You didn't have enough buyers, enough demand. You had tons of suppliers, the sales side of it, but you didn't have enough buyers, which just meant the prices keep going down and down and down. And when that happens, and you're basically using your assets to pay off your debt, what happens then? Now all of a sudden you see a massive jump right here in debt service payments. And that means you're going to be more and more likely to do what? To sell your assets to service those debts. Well, we're going to put the interest rates to zero. People, I don't care what your interest rates are. I got to pay off this debt. And that does concern me. It does. I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, look, again, the amount of debt has grown. I mean, you can see equity. No, we get rid of that one. We see median sales price. Let's see here. Yeah, we see equity. Homeowners equity real estate jumped like crazy over the last 10 years. But equity only converts to cash when you can borrow against it or have a buyer, or you take a loan against it in terms of reverse mortgage. But you can't use equity as cash. Look, I'm all about paying off your debt, don't get me wrong. But I'm just saying, if you're relying on your assets to pay off your debt, and your debt is growing and the assets take a hit, or you're relying on your income to pay off your debt is growing and your income takes a hit, that changes things. I just wonder if we're looking at Japan, because I was just watching this guy's YouTube channel. I don't know who this guy was. I'd never seen him before, but it came on my feed. He goes, no one's borrowing. I said, ooh, where have I heard that before? And I can't remember what the guy's name was. I just don't recall. He had a pretty big channel, but he was like, no one's borrowing. He had something about Wells Fargo. No one's borrowing. And if no one's borrowing, what does that tell you? They don't care what the interest rates are. They're saying, I'm starting to pay down debt. Maybe, I don't know, but that made me think about Richard Koo and about what's going on here. And I looked at debt to income ratios and I said, damn, it's still way low, but maybe people are saying, I'm not going to borrow, now I'm going to start paying off. I hope they're doing that. That's what I'm doing, because again, can't go bankrupt if you have no debt. All right. Now, what about medical bankruptcy? Medical bankruptcy is a debt. Can't go bankrupt if you have no debt. Yeah, what are your thoughts, man? What are you hearing out there? And I don't want a bunch of negative Nellies. It's Kamala's fault, it's Biden's fault. I don't care about that. I'm just saying, at the end of the day, what are your boots on the ground? Is the economy starting to struggle a little bit here? Because it seems like it could be happening. People aren't borrowing, and we have I know people are hiring, I get it, but man, I tell you, wages aren't growing the way the debts are. That's just for sure. And that is concerning. All right, God bless. Let me hear your thoughts. Thumbs up if you would.